All right, so I had to leave. I had to go somewhere. I don't know where, but we finally got it working again and I came back. And I'm so excited, so welcome everyone. I'm sorry for the delay to our second Torero Entrepreneurship Challenge. We're so excited to have you here and glad you waited through this. We have friends here from across campus, from our community, that are going to help support and encourage our finalists as they compete for up to $45,000 in seed money to help get their businesses off the ground. You know, over the past 5 to 6 years, the entrepreneurial spirit has really taken hold in USD's Shiley-Marcos School of Engineering, and the pandemic hasn't changed anything. We have a thriving program. We call it the Etrack program, where our faculty and mentors help educate, harness, and nurture that student's innovative spirit through a comprehensive program. While we collaborate with different disciplines across the campus, our engineering faculty co-teach courses with faculty from the Knauss Center for Business Education. Teams come from across campus. For example, some of our student projects have a clear focus on social impact and receive mentorship from faculty and mentors from the Kroc School of Peace Studies. So this is definitely a cross-campus effort. Now, in addition to contributions from our faculty, the Torero Entrepreneurship Challenge, or TEC, would also not be possible without the support of our mentors and judges. Without this generous support, this event would not be possible. Tonight, we will reward game-changing projects that embody technological innovation through 2 generous awards. The Larry Kull Endowed Student Award in Engineering and Entrepreneurship, which will be awarded to the team most likely to succeed as a business venture, and the Starpoint Award, which will be awarded to the team that combines business with social impact. So thank you all of you, for making this event possible. And please join me in welcoming Professor of Practice and Entrepreneurship co-faculty lead, Jeff Teza, who will officially kick off our 2022 Tech competition. Jeff.
Hey everybody, thank you, Chell. So I want to thank everybody for coming and supporting our student teams. We ran them through the gauntlet and they worked pretty hard on getting these presentations together. As I think Chell might have mentioned, the entrepreneurship footprint at University of San Diego is pretty broad. It involves just not the School of Engineering, but also the School of Business and the School of Peace and Justice. And you'll find out that we have, in fact, pitches from different departments as well as the School of Engineering. The eligible teams came from these different disciplines, and what we asked them to do was to what differentiates the School of Engineering from some of the other groups is the fact that we want to have a technology component to their value proposition. So we essentially want to have technology as a key element of the business. So we don't do real estate deals and we don't do, a new restaurant or something like that. We're looking for a technology idea to make them eligible for the Tech Awards, okay? So most of the teams, after they submit their initial idea, they meet with myself, Dr. Shastri Venkat, whom you'll see later, or Dr. Jay Coonan, and we give them specific feedback on their project ideas. And I think in this case, we had initially 10 proposals, and one of the teams dropped out on their own accord, and so we ended up with 9. Of those 9, 5 were students from the School of Engineering and 4 were from the School of Business. And so we finalized that 9 down to 6, and those are the ones that you're going to see today. And so I would like to thank our judges who helped us determine the outcome of this competition by going through the 6 presentations and videos. What you're going to see today is the videos. There's also a PowerPoint, deck, investor deck, if you will, and that was also a part of this, okay? It was a tough job narrowing it down. In fact, I think all of the teams that submitted something will have some sort of an award, even beyond the 6 teams. And so it was not easy, and so we wanted to encourage them, even if they weren't part of the finalists, to continue to mentor them for entrepreneurship projects. So our judges are a very elite group. You can see on the screen a number of different bios or simple, some of these guys, it would take a couple slide decks to give you their bios, but let me go through it real quick. Gareth DeSantis is a long-term member, and he's also the Godfather's son, the Godfather being his dad, who in fact endowed the chair that Venkat sits in that really kicked off the entrepreneurship program at Shiley-Marcos School of Engineering. Jay is a faculty and angel investor. He also has a lot of entrepreneurship experience in his past. Mike Lawless, who came originally from the business school, who basically was one of the core engines behind the V2 pitch, which is the equivalent competition that occurs in the School of Business. Dick Trulick's got a long history of entrepreneurship. I don't even want to start because he would take a couple pages. Christy is a mom of one of the alums, as well as a soon-to-graduate business student, and is also an angel investor. And Jeff Ewell, some of you may remember this little camera thing called GoPro. He was one of the founders of GoPro. So these were very competent people to look at these ideas and pick them. And as I mentioned, and Chell mentioned, they're about we're not launching businesses, we're really launching entrepreneurs. What we're trying to do, education is still the highest goal. And so we want to educate them on how to be an effective entrepreneur in terms of being able to get their message across. So let me give you a little idea of what you're in store for here. So what's going to happen is we're going to present each of the 6 videos. So you're going to see a video, and then we're going to open it for questions, and anybody can ask a question in the audience, not just the judges. And if you have a question, you can put it in your chat, and we'll try and ask them questions. We'll probably limit it to 2 or maybe 3 at the outside questions. And the students who gave the presentation, I think almost all of them, I haven't checked, but I think all of them are online, so they'll have a chance to answer them directly. So I think a little bit of logistics I want to mention is, after that, what's going to happen is I'm going to leave, and the judges are going to deliberate, and based upon the results of the questions and answers, they're going to deliberate, and we're going to pick the winners, okay? While we're doing that, Chell will come back and essentially show you a little bit more information about the Larry Kull Endowed Student Award and the Starpoint Awards. I do want to talk about a little bit of logistics here. I mentioned earlier that all the guests are muted during the event, but you can support your team by using the chat feature. You saw Elisa put some jokes out when we had our technical challenge. And so you can use that chat to essentially support the individual teams. And we also encourage you to set your Zoom settings to speaker view. So whoever's talking, especially when the students are answering questions and things like that, they'll come to the front of the screen. So you don't have a grid of a lot of people that you may or may not know, but you'll actually see whoever's talking at the time. We're going to do an alphabetical order, okay? Because we don't want to give you any clues as to what our thoughts are at this point, but I'm going to start with one called dual altimeter. And dual altimeter, I had a student who was a junior come to us. I think he's a junior in electrical engineering, and this guy, I think he likes to play with gravity, is what I think he likes to do. So on that note, here's the dual altimeter.
Hello everyone, my name is Troy Roller. I'm accompanied by Ty Aramaki and Nick Lund, and we are presenting Dual Altimeter, where skydiving safety is made simple.
Skydiving is a growing sport that I recently became a part of. I went skydiving last year just to check it off my bucket list, but found it to be such a rewarding experience that I knew I needed to get licensed. Much of what convinced me to start practicing the sport was the realization of how safe skydiving has become due to innovations in technology. Most notably, modern digital altimeters.
Altimeters are necessary for all skydivers to plan a jump, land with accuracy, and most importantly, open their parachute at a safe and specific altitude. The visual altimeter is the most important and the only type skydivers are always required to wear. Additionally, there are audible altimeters that fit in a pocket of a skydiving helmet and beep to alert the user of key altitudes. They're only required in certain skydiving disciplines, but many skydivers have one regardless of what discipline they practice. Having an audible cue gives many skydivers a better sense of safety.
But there is a catch. While skydiving is becoming safer every year, the best equipment is getting more expensive. The newest models, like the Aries and Optima 2, which were recommended to me, cost double what some older altimeters do. Skydiving is still dangerous, and even though you don't want to be frugal with the device you trust your life with every jump, the high price is still a concerning factor for many. Despite being recommended both, I've opted to jump with only a visual altimeter, forgoing the additional safety of an audible. After meeting many other skydivers in a similar scenario, I began to notice there was a flaw in the way we calculate the value of this new technology. Because even the safest, most reliable altimeter is no help to the skydiving community if its price makes it too inaccessible for us to use.
Our solution? The dual altimeter, a two-piece system that functions as both a visual and audible altimeter for half the price. The dual altimeter consists of a visual altimeter that connects to a speaker via a robust and reliable Bluetooth connection. The Bluetooth speaker fits in the pocket of a skydiving helmet, taking the place of a traditional audible altimeter. The expensive part of a skydiving altimeter is a pressure measurement system. So by operating the audible component solely via Bluetooth connection, we can cut the cost of making each separately in half. For skydivers who want both but can only afford one, it can make a life-saving difference. We've already finished developing our first prototype.
Troy and I drove down to Skydive San Diego to find out what skydivers and skydive instructors think about the current altimeter market. To avoid any bias in our interviews, we asked open-ended questions with no preface as to the purpose of our study. The results were as we expected. None of the skydivers owned audible altimeters, all of them wanted one, and the most common reason why they hadn't bought one yet was the high price. On the other hand, both of the skydiving instructors we interviewed owned an audible altimeter and said it made them feel safer in the air. There is a clear gap in the market that our product can occupy.
To analyze components and profitability, we took apart an Aries 2 altimeter and estimated that the cost of materials was about $41. At the sales price of $399, the Aries makes a profit margin of about 89%. If we were to build the dual altimeter with similar electronic components in a hard plastic case, we could do it for about $50. Compared to the competitors who produce both visual and audible altimeters separately, we can reduce costs by bundling these products, getting rid of component redundancies. At the same profit margin as the Aries 2, we could sell this product for $485. Perfectly matching the perceived value expressed by the skydivers that we interviewed. For manufacturing, in the short run, we plan to work with American suppliers and assembly to develop a high-quality product and manufacture it quickly. We will also need to search for some custom solutions, such as the plastic casing. In the long run, the opportunity to work with Chinese suppliers and assembly is especially exciting because Chinese suppliers are highly competent, provide low costs, and China is one of the fastest growing skydiving markets. This will help reduce costs and logistics issues. The global skydiving equipment market is projected to grow 3.5% per year over the next 4 years. We've identified the US and China as two of the largest and fastest growing markets. The US market is valued above $300 million per year, and the Chinese market is projected to grow at 6.5% per year for the next 4 years.
Between the three of us on the dual altimeter team, we have a broad range of experience in engineering, business, and skydiving. This is a project we are extremely passionate about and believe we have the perfect team to make it a reality. Thank you for listening.
Whoa. You know, I had skydiving on my bucket list, but I took it off because I don't consider scaring the crap out of myself entertainment. But these guys obviously do. So I'm waiting to hear if there's any questions from the audience or whomever. I have an earpiece in so that I can hear what the response is. I think there is a question coming in from is it the International Space Station? Somebody's asking, can we buy one of these? No, that's not right. It's from one of our viewers, and they're asking, how do you test this thing?
So the way we tested our prototype, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
The way we tested our prototype was in the elevator in our school's student life pavilion, because the altimeter measures based on pressure, and it's accurate to plus or minus 3 feet. So we can actually just go up in this 5-floor elevator and test the accuracy in the alarm system as we go back
That's a little
down.
bit closer to my bucket list, the elevator. I can go up, look over the edge and stuff instead of the free fall thing. I got an issue with the free fall thing. So what else? Are there any other questions for dual altimeter? Nope, that's it. So you guys are off the hook. Let's move on to EcoBreeze. EcoBreeze is not they're not a stranger to these events because they've won some in the past. And EcoBreeze is also doing something a little out of this world in the sense that they're taking a different engine for creating cold. Essentially, it's called a thermoacoustic cooler, which was used by NASA to cool things like space telescopes. And they're trying to take that technology and put it on Earth. And so on that note, take it away, EcoBreeze.
What do Ben & Jerry's, NASA, and the U.S. Army all have in common? The successful implementation of thermoacoustic cooling technology. Currently, the industry has experienced the success of thermoacoustic engines, refrigerators, and freezers. The most recent example being the James Webb Space Telescope that had the ability to cool electronics on board 7 degrees above absolute zero. What the industry has not seen is the successful commercialization of thermoacoustic technology. This is our product. EcoBreeze is a thermoacoustic cooling technology intellectual property company. But why thermoacoustics?
Let's take a look at current air conditioning systems. An AC involves many moving parts in order for it to cool. They work by using a reverse Carnot cycle, or a refrigeration cycle, as they are sometimes called, to take heat and humidity out of the air while simultaneously adding cold air to it. The typical Carnot cycle for an air conditioner utilizes a compressor, an evaporator, an expansion valve, and a condenser, among other things. This process, although efficient, can be very expensive and can consume a lot of energy. Using thermoacoustics, each component of the Carnot cycle can be replaced by nothing more than a speaker, a stack, and a tube, minimizing the amount of moving parts and increasing its reliability. These 3 components are what we refer to as the thermoacoustic cooling system, or TACS for short. When buying modern cooling systems, the cooler that you choose is based on this core technology. Our team has spent the better part of last semester developing the optimal parameters for TACS. Now, let's explore how thermoacoustics work.
Thermoacoustic cooling technology utilizes limited moving parts and 0 refrigerants in order to create a cooling effect. This is done using 3 main components: a tube, a speaker, and a stack. The speaker creates a moving sound wave that resonates in the tube. When the sound wave propagates at the correct frequency for the tube, a standing wave is created with high pressure zones at the ends of the tube and a low pressure zone in the middle. The stack is placed between these pressure zones, and as the system runs, one side of the stack gets hot while the other side gets cold. This temperature differential can then be extracted for use outside of the tube. Our first prototype uses styrofoam beads in order to visualize this standing wave, and we were able to get a 3.3 degrees Celsius temperature differential across our stack. We are scaling up this design for our second prototype using more robust materials and a more powerful speaker. Moreover, with the use of a thermoacoustic simulator, we were able to optimize the material and geometry of both the resonator and the stack. We are expecting to achieve a 12 to 13 degree temperature differential with our new optimized prototype.
Now let's talk a little more about our business plan. The current air conditioning market is over a century old, and we plan to use this to our advantage. We are entering the stagnant market as a new opportunity, reaching currently underserved customers who cannot afford air conditioning. We're planning on utilizing a business-to-business model, one where we sell our thermoacoustic technology to existing air conditioning manufacturers. After all, they've done the hard work of designing aesthetically pleasing and effective housings, as well as marketing them to the public. The most important element of a cooling system, however, is its performance. Through integrating thermoacoustic technology into the existing market, we can reach customers who could previously not afford cooling systems like AC. Customers are turning to evaporative coolers, air conditioning units, and fans to keep cool. Evaporative coolers have proven to be inefficient and quickly add a lot of humidity to the surrounding air. Traditional air conditioning units are expensive to install and run and release greenhouse gases during operation. Fans are simply recirculating warm air. EcoBreeze's niche cooling product will be more efficient, have no moving parts, and is cheaper to produce than other cooling systems on the market.
You're probably wondering, why has no one done this before? For starters, change in technology is usually very slow for large companies that then have to deal with an extensive legacy program. So far, thermoacoustic technology has been implemented in government-funded engineering projects and researched in academic settings. However, it is an immature technology, with the first working refrigerator demonstrated in the 1990s. Currently, this youthful technology may not be as appealing to large companies like Honeywell and GE, because there is no one pressuring change in their set system. Once we begin to get our product to market, we expect a snowball effect of large companies licensing our patent for a more efficient and affordable thermoacoustic cooling system. We are employing a disruptive business model. Think of when Netflix suddenly released an option for their customers to rent unlimited DVDs for a fixed cost per month. Netflix put physical DVD stores out of business using a disruptive business model. Our team was in the right place at the right time. With our mentor, Matt Pose, a former developer of the Ben & Jerry's thermoacoustic cooling system, and our entrepreneurial mindset, we have a unique capability to solve the cooling crisis. EcoBreeze. We use physics to keep you cool.
That was cool, man. So let me see here. Let me see if we got a question. Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, can we get one of these in the bedroom to? Oh wait, that was my wife on my cell phone. We have a disagreement as to the temperatures in the house. She likes it a lot cooler than I do in general. But here's another one coming in, and that is, how far do you think you guys are from from a viable product in terms of time?
Yes, of course. So we are actually planning to test our first prototype starting in May. We currently have the mechanical and electrical subsystems developed. As you saw in the video, we did have a proof of concept, and basically what our prototype entails is kind of fine-tuning this proof of concept in order to make sure that all of the physical parameters are optimized. So as far as our subsystems, we were able to use a simulation to kind of determine the optimal parameters in order to create this ideal model that will hopefully have a larger temperature gradient than our proof of concept. So to answer the question, long story short, in May we will have a testing prototype, and then after that, I think it'll probably take about another year of R&D to have a viable product that we would be able to license to other manufacturers.
Okay, great. Thank you, Megan. So one other question is, are there any intellectual property barriers here? Does anybody own any IP, patents, or anything like this on this stuff?
Yes, so currently we have actually gone on Google Patents and tried to find some patents that may conflict with our idea, but the only thing that we really have been able to find are patents for thermoacoustic engines. As we mentioned in our video, thermoacoustic cooling has been used in very academic settings. However, those aren't patented because they're for research purposes. So like I said, NASA utilized this technology as well as the US Army, and then the Ben & Jerry's campaign was actually done through a university. It was Penn State University. So those were all for scholarly purposes, and they did not patent any commercial products due to these projects. So as far as we can see and tell thus far, we are the first to want to implement these cooling systems as to use as residential cooling systems.
Fantastic. Good answer. So next up, we have Insight VLA. And Insight VLA, I know a little bit about this company because George, the founder, came through our Torero Venture Lab class in the School of Business, which I co-teach with Amit. And George is on a mission because he's convinced that online education is not going to go away. It accelerated during the COVID pandemic, and it's going to continue going forward. And there's kind of two kinds of online education. One's asynchronous, where you don't have a teacher really in front of students, and then the second is where you actually are live with the teacher. And so when you are live with the teacher, you're going to need Insight VLA. So take it away, Insight VLA.
What if teaching online was just as effective as teaching in person, where teachers and administrators both have clear insight into their students' engagement in the virtual classroom?
So my name is Justin Young. I've been teaching virtually for the past 1.5 years. I, like many teachers during this time, have found myself feeling really stressed and frustrated. It's as if we just simply do not have enough time in the day to keep track of 100+ students for a high school or middle school teacher. All of it just adds up and becomes a major headache for teachers. Even with my best efforts of trying to keep track of these students and trying to engage them and keep them on track, the virtual landscape just made it too easy for some of them to slip through the cracks. And it just shouldn't be the case. Whether students are in person or online, all these students deserve an excellent education.
Hi, my name is George, and I'm the founder and CEO of Insight VLA, the Virtual Learning Assistant. We are here to increase the efficacy of online learning for teachers and students. Like Justin, teachers worldwide are doing their very best to gain and retain student attention, but they are desperately in need of our help. This is where Insight VLA is here to lend a hand. During remote learning, our proprietary software helps teachers identify students who are inattentive by projecting a live overlay on the gallery page.
During class, this software is easy and fast to use. I can quickly see if a student has a low engagement level, and I would then decide the best way to support them. I might send them an individual message to check on them, or partner them up with another student to work together. At the same time, each student can practice self-regulation on their own by using their individual engagement score to judge their own participation in the lesson. They can then decide how to best get involved based on their individual needs. After the lesson, the self-generated data report helps me to see which student I may need to have extra tutoring with. And I am not the only teacher that wants a much-needed solution to engagement in virtual learning. Our surveys of a wide variety of virtual teachers and administrators have continuously named student disengagement the greatest pain point in virtual education.
Each participating charter school pays for premium content. In exchange, we provide both live and historical engagement trends along with grade correlation. Teachers and their administrators are automatically given weekly and monthly summary reports. The cost? An average $2 per month per student. This is a fraction of our nearest competitor's price. We have validated this price point with multiple administrators, both in public and charter schools, and they were in agreement. Regarding post-pandemic relevancy, in February 2022, Los Angeles Unified expanded their online learning to create 6 new online schools to seat 18,000 more students who are choosing to permanently not return to in-person learning. LA Unified is one of 16,000 school districts in the US where on average 5% of the entire student population is choosing synchronous remote learning. These are the numbers through which our pro forma was generated and which also explains why the compounded annual growth rate of online learning is projected at over 12% in the US and over 13% worldwide. First, our attendance solution leverages Zoom SDK's track indicator. This will allow us to identify whether the student has left the camera's field of view, is attempting to run a looping video, or whether the camera is simply turned off. Second, attention is measured every time the host is in presentation mode. Insight VLA engages our eye tracking script. This technology has been advanced by the automotive industry and is being leveraged for this MVP. Finally, our software will monitor active participation by quantifying the frequency, duration, and complexity of collaboration, even in the breakout rooms. In short, our MVP will demonstrate that our solution to track engagement is a viable product for further development. As an expanded feature, schools that participate in Insight VLA's automatic grade to engagement correlation will enjoy trend analysis and forecast performance at the individual student, classroom, and school district levels. thereby enabling teachers and administrators to make solid decisions on their limited resources.
We sincerely thank you for watching our video and are looking forward to your feedback and questions of how Insight VLA can help you.
Good show, you guys. Let's see if there's any questions for you. Okay, here comes one. So, when do you think you'll have your first customer?
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Teza. So as far as our first customer, we already are working with two of our local schools, one of which is the Poway Virtual Center, and then the other one being the Learning Choice Academy, which happens to be Justin's personal school. We're working with both of those administrators, and we are reaching out to LA Unified. That would be a fantastic find for us where we secure them, but I would believe with LA Unified, that's more along the lines of by fall 2023. But we're looking for beta testing with those other two schools by fall of this year.
That's great, George. Good answer. Okay.
Thank you.
Any more? No, you're off the hook, George. We're moving on.
Off the hook.
Next up is a group of engineers from the School of from the School of Engineering Computer Science group. And these guys are working on a problem that most of you have probably not thought about. But it is a very big market. It's a very big opportunity. And that is essentially stealing streaming video streams over the internet, where people will essentially steal, especially live sports events and things like that. And so you'll hear about their approach to it versus how the world deals with that today. And these guys are called Pirate Hole. Think about that. Cool name.
Hello, my name is Connor Reed, and I'm a company with Kobe Soden, and we're the developers of Pirate Hole, a system that can protect copyrighted content faster and more efficiently than the current methods that the industry provide. So let's talk about the state of internet piracy. Internet piracy is a growing issue that's only getting worse and worse and worse. Right now, the market lacks an effective solution to prevent it. However, we believe we have a solution. So our customers, or the target customer audience we're trying to target, is anyone who streams live copyrighted content. So what's important for these particular customers is, first of all, the knowledge, the ability to find and identify pirated versions of their content amongst the World Wide Web, which contains hundreds of millions of websites, which makes it a difficult task. Secondly, they need a quick reaction time, a method to instantly prevent the access of distribution of their pirated content. So they need these sites to be taken down right away, especially for live content, as the value in it is that it is in the current moment. That's where the value comes from. If you take it down, a week, a day later, you've already lost the value on that product. So quick reaction time is absolutely necessary. And finally, we need permanence, an indefinite solution that keeps their pirated content off the internet, not momentarily, not for a couple of days, but can continually keep it down for an indefinite period of time.
All right, so this is some of the market research that we've done. First of all, our beachhead market would be the UFC. The UFC loses somewhere between $30 and $100 million a year to piracy. Once we establish a foothold in this market, we plan to expand into all of sports pay-per-view. And then from there, we could go to sports subscriptions. These are events that you charge a flat fee and you can watch all of the games throughout the year. And then from there, we could go to live TV. And then once we establish ourselves in these markets, we think we can go to film. And if you look, the market size increases as you go to the right. So what makes Pirate Hole better than what's being done in the current industry? Here's our competitive positioning. On the x-axis, you can see the ability to locate pirated content. And on the y-axis, you have the speed at which it's taken down. On the left side of the graph, these are kind of non-options. You can turn off the legitimate stream or do nothing. On the right side, we have us and all of our competition. Our competition can find it, but they can't take it down quickly. We think that we can take it down exponentially faster than any of them. So how are we going to do this? We have a similar system to them in that we both use web crawlers and pirated content detectors. to find the pirated content. And then once it's been found, our competition goes through the DMCA takedown process, which is a very slow-moving bureaucracy. It can take weeks, months, years, and if the site's in another country, it may never come down because they don't cooperate with the US legal system. We propose to just offensively take down these sites immediately through a distributed denial of service attack.
So a distributed denial of service attack is what we believe to be the best and most straightforward answer to taking action against these pirated sites. As I mentioned earlier, they're getting out of control and they're really difficult to contain, which means we need a much more faster solution to take down these sites. In order to do this, we first need to determine the IP address of the pirated site. This is going to be a really easy task. We've already accomplished this for small-scale pirating sites. However, there are much larger pirate organizations that hide their IPs behind a proxy, which essentially adds more levels of complication. However, we believe we can override it with more funding in the future. Secondly, it's distributed. So what's powerful about distribution is that it makes it incredibly difficult to stop or block. In fact, it's impossible, which is really a major key in actually effectively taking down these sites. And finally, a controlled and monitored bandwidth. So when you're working with denial of service attacks or distributed denial of service attacks, it's really important that you manage the bandwidth you send to your target so that you don't cause indirect damage to the overall network or other people's internet connections. So again, by controlling and monitoring the bandwidth, we believe we can create a scalpel on the internet that can take out the exact parasites, which are the pirates, and not actually negatively impact anything else on the internet.
So this is our product plan. We have finished steps 1 and 2. We can find pirated content and determine their IP for small scale pirates, but we need money to host our system in the cloud and get enough processing power and bandwidth to actually take them down. And that's where the tech awards would come in. We would use any money we win to get some cloud space and begin taking down small scale pirates. And then once we can do this, we can prove this concept to our target clients and start establishing contracts with them. And then once we have contracts, we can start scaling up our MVP, which is to just take down the small scale pirates. And then after this, we plan on figuring out how to find IP addresses for the more complex, sophisticated pirates. And then once we can do this, we can take them down and sell to more clients and provide better service to our clients.
You better not take me down, dude, or you're gonna get a bad grade. So let's see if there's any questions coming in here. Yeah, there is one. So the denial of service seems to be the approach that you guys are taking, and you must be convinced that's the right approach. Are there any downsides to using that as a technique to take down the website?
There's not really downsides, but more so concerns that you would have to take into account. One of them would be clogging the network for other people who are using the internet, and we would be sure to send just enough to not impact other users of the internet and only take down the pirated site. That's really the only concern there. I don't think anyone's done it because they're kind of tunnel visioned on their approach. They're kind of focusing on piracy as a whole, and the DMCA takedown process works really well for things like music or movies, but it doesn't work well for live events. The benefit of DDoS is that it's instant, and they really haven't catered to that yet.
Okay, cool. Good answer. Any more questions? No, I think you're good, guys. We're going to move forward. Okay, next up is a big idea, and this is actually a husband and wife team, and they're convinced that the last, 15 years, there has been breakthroughs in the world of biotech science that has not yet been implemented in products, and yet it's going to have some huge implications going forward. And they want to be at the front end of that. And so they've called their company Symphony BioWare, and prepare to see Symphony BioWare blow you away.
Hi, we're Symphony BioWare, and we're solving critical data needs in digital health through wearables that continuously monitor body chemistry. I'm Alex. I've dedicated my life to building biosensing technologies that improve human health. I've built swallowable and handheld devices, and I have led DNA sequencing R&D teams at Illumina and PacBio.
And I'm Alexandra. I'm a USD MBA candidate and an engineering school alum with a BA in computer science. As one of the first employees of Luna DNA, I helped develop their revolutionary health data platform from a whiteboard concept all the way to launch. When I was 17, I nearly died from burnout. Ever since then, I've been obsessed with wellness and the quantified self. And I'm not the only one. There has been explosive growth in digital wellness, but that has come with costly growing pains. Customer retention has been poor and is costing billions. Most people quit their program before they feel the benefits. Just look at the meditation app Headspace. It loses 95% of its users within 30 days. And so, the industry has turned to wearables because real-time feedback enables behavior change and personalized coaching. In fact, wellness apps that use wearable see up to 3x boost in retention. It turns out that wellness just isn't sticky unless it's linked directly to biology. But today's wearables provide only a narrow window into the body, like heart rate or glucose. These are great for tracking the run or managing diabetes, but poorly matched to most other applications. Thousands of other important biomarkers are still unavailable for continuous monitoring. So, most wellness apps just can't benefit from wearables. Too bad Headspace can't motivate users by tracking the stress hormone cortisol. It drops by 30% after just one session. In fact, daily fluctuations in the hormones cortisol and testosterone are responsible for a lot of our behavior, stress, sleep, nutrition, and energy levels.
Symphony BioWare is solving these limitations by radically expanding wearable capabilities. We are developing a smart patch that will continuously track molecular biomarkers and provide analytics through an app. Our core innovation will lie in the microneedle biosensors, and we will use standard Bluetooth low energy tech for the data link. The patch will contain an array of painless microneedles, each only a fraction of a millimeter long. When you stick the patch on, they will insert into just the top layers of the skin. Each microneedle will have a different biosensor that will provide a direct measurement of its target biomarker in the skin interstitial fluid, no blood required. Like continuous glucose meters, our disposable patch will provide continuous measurements for at least 2 weeks. Our first product will monitor cortisol and testosterone. Real-time feedback will enable end users to track their progress and see results before they even feel them. Some users may want to see if their meditation is working, or time their workouts perfectly for peak performance, or even optimize their nutrition for getting a great night's sleep. Our microneedle biosensor technology is based on concepts that are already matured in academia. This type of technology has been shown to be able to detect hundreds of molecules extremely selectively and within the wide range of concentrations present in the body. And a few other companies are already working to commercialize smart patches based on these and similar concepts that go beyond tracking glucose, like drugs and alcohol. In fact, we believe that the next decade will be a chemical gold rush as companies compete to claim as much of the biomarker space as possible. Our competitive advantage is our unique and protectable biosensor platform, which will enable us to diversify our biomarkers much faster than anyone else.
Similar to other deep tech, it will take us about 2 years to develop a minimally viable product, which will focus narrowly on cortisol and testosterone. Our inaugural market will be digital wellness apps that target stress, sleep, fitness, and nutrition, like Noom and Headspace. They're in the greatest pain, they're losing customers, and are most hungry for new technology. Wellness also has low regulatory barriers, which enable us to enter the market faster. We will partner with wellness apps early to incorporate their inputs into product development. Eventually, we plan to expand to dozens of other hormones and proteins that are useful for diverse applications across digital health, including telehealth, disease monitoring, and clinical trials for new drugs. The market for wellness wearables is over $20 billion. We expect our superior product to enable us to capture at least 50,000 end users within the first 5 years of our launch, for a total revenue of $150 million. Symphony BioWare will have 3 B2B revenue streams. First, we'll supply BioWare to wellness providers. They will co-brand our products and sell them to their end users. Second, we'll sell a software subscription that will power the data analytics. These data are the most important piece of the puzzle. For our third revenue stream, we'll provide access to de-identified data for research and drug development. This will be powered through our partnership with Luna DNA, the health data warehouse I launched before coming to business school.
Symphony Bioware is led by experts who have built nearly every aspect of this technology before. Alexandra is a software guru and an expert in regulated health data, and I have 18 years of experience developing nanotechnology, biosensors, and leading R&D teams in the DNA sequencing industry. This past year saw $30 billion in venture investments into digital health and some major wearables acquisitions. Eventually, we envision partnerships or potential acquisitions by these types of companies, or CGM companies like Dexcom. We are raising $1 million to develop a proof of concept device that will detect our first biomarkers. We're looking for deep tech investors who share our long-term vision. We anticipate that eventually it'll take $50 to $100 million to fully bring Symphony Bioware to market. Any money we receive from this competition will go towards filing our key IP and performing the initial experiments. Inside you, there's a chemical concerto.
At Symphony Bioware, our mission is to help you hear it.
Wow. Those kinds of products are going to change the world for sure. Let me see if there's any questions we've got here. Yeah, so there's a question about a little more detail on how microneedles work and how does, you know, and on FDA, what's the level that you think, and is it the patch needles that sort of drive that FDA approval thing?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Teza. That's a really great question. So on the FDA side, they're microneedles, so they're not going down into the blood. They're just in the top layers of the skin. Our research and our advisors have given us some insight into this process. And basically, because they're microneedles, all we would need is a 510K from the FDA, which is a relatively low barrier of entry. And that's why we've chosen wellness, because the types of measurements that are made in that type of application have a lower barrier with respect to the FDA. Eventually, we're going to go in the medical direction. That's going to have a higher clearance level, and so more money and more clinical trials are going to have to be necessary.
Okay, let me ask one other question, which is more of a vision question. I mean, clearly you guys are going to be in the hardware business. You're going to sell patches that people will replace, but you're also going to collect an incredible amount of data. In the long term, do you think your value is in the hardware, or do you think as you build more understanding in the data, that becomes that tail starts to wag the dog, if you will? What are your thoughts on that in the long haul?
Thank you for this question and allowing us to share a big vision. So we do see that the hardware is going to be an incredible tool in order to finally get access to this data, the continuous data of the biomarkers. And so my background is in software development. With Luna DNA, I was developing data pipelines for genomic data, for EHR records, for surveys about health data, and now just imagining putting continuous hormone data and other biomarkers data that will open up a whole new level for scientific discoveries, for R&D discoveries.
Yeah, imagine if you can have people's DNA sequencing results and link that to their real-time protein and hormone production data.
So we do believe that the hardware itself is amazing, but this is an enabler tool to get to the precious data that we currently don't have access to.
Yeah, that's huge. We're kind of at the starting line for this stuff. That's it. You guys are off the hook. Next up, we have Totem. Totem came to us from the School of Business, and it has a very big social impact. Abdi thinks that there's a lot of redundancy in a lot of the appliances we buy in our homes, like lights and heaters and fans and essentially electrically powered appliances. And so what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to factor out the redundancy in a lot of those products, and in doing that, reduce the cost. So you buy the redundant, it's kind of like a battery separate from all the tools that use the battery. And so the idea is that that will make these things more accessible to people in underdeveloped countries, as well as people that are underprivileged in some ways and can't afford to buy all these different appliances individually, but maybe with Totem, they can afford a bigger stack. Here's Totem.
My name is Abhimanyu Sharma, and I'd like to present to you Totem. There is an inherent problem in the way we electrify remote living spaces and underdeveloped housing. Unsafe electrification or geriatric electrification of underdeveloped housing is practically a norm in the developing world. Whereas in remote living, you need to have multiple appliances that are most of the times incompatible with each other to make any space living. I do talk about the refugee encampments, outposts, medicals, and expedition camps. Moreover, there is an energy loss when we convert alternating current to direct current. Somewhere in the tune of 5 to 20% is lost in thermal energy when we convert. So I bring to you a solution. I call it Totem. It's a movable, multifunctional, plug-and-play device that serves as an appliance for any of your living space or underdeveloped housing electrification needs. It is compatible with solar, or you could just connect it with the grid with any 220-volt alternating current outlet. With a SolidWorks sketch that is rudimentary, you are able to understand how it is a plug-and-play device that is highly movable, does not take much space, and can be placed in almost any living space. What makes the product different is that it's one of a kind. You can choose different modules of the Totem to combine with each other and create your own form of Totem. Maybe you just require lighting. Maybe you just require a power source. Maybe you would like to use it as an entertainment device and you require a speaker and a TV. But you can individually buy the products, the modules, so to speak, place them upon each other, and the Totem is highly customizable to your needs. It is easy to use because it is plug and play. Only 2 terminals connect to each other when you're stacking module upon module. There is also an inherent benefit of it being low cost because most of the devices will utilize DC current that is being supplied from the battery, which acts as a base. Moreover, the construction can also utilize recycled materials. In terms of markets, think about the outpost for a military encampment or a refugee camp, a medical camp, underdeveloped housing in developing countries, or any kind of makeshift housings, even tents. But Totem can be placed in any of those places very conveniently by combining it with power outlet, solar energy, or even a generator. Some of the customers that we have pointed out are the military, low-income houses, medical and refugee camps, campers and explorers that go to locations where no form of electricity or equipment are possible, NGOs that would like to help the homeless or underdeveloped housing. And additionally, homeowners and renters can also utilize this appliance within their own homes. One of the competitors are also our future competitors. But the future competitors can also be possible customers. If our product is good enough, they might choose us as a viable source of our unique product. But there is also a competitive advantage that we bring to the market. We are first to market, and we have access to low-cost manufacturing facilities. Extensive manufacturing industry experience will allow me to create such a product with least amount of cost possible. Some of the competitors that we might look at are companies like Coleman that already have products for remote living and camping equipment. In terms of utilities of fund, my ask is for $30,000, where $10,000 will go towards prototyping, $15,000 will go toward manufacturing, and $5,000 will be for testing, which will go towards discounts, donations, reliability testing, and improvement of materials and components.
Wow, Abby, that's great. Getting access to some of these products for people that don't have the wherewithal to buy them today. So let me hear a question here. There's actually, so there's kind of a two-part question coming in. One is, what do you see as the main sort of intellectual property that you'll develop, and who would you think of as competitors going forward?
Well, it's actually the product itself would not have anything that I would be considered as an intellectual property, because what we want to do is have the products utilize the products that are readily available within the market. So all the DC devices that I talk about, they have to be easily accessible. We cannot utilize any technology that would be new, because that would increase the cost of the product. The main idea is to have the cost of the product low enough that in terms of donations and in terms of purchase, it is more easy for any customers who already have issues or buying appliances for their houses. Or my example would be, somebody living in a tent probably cannot buy something if it has an intellectual property in it. So there actually is not any intellectual property, and that's what I'm focusing on.
And what about competitors? Do you think there's anybody out there that would be a natural competitor to you?
Yes, well, companies that already have camping equipment, they definitely could develop something like this very quickly, but it would be much easier for them to utilize my product as a starting point and then develop upon it. So I would not mind if any of the bigger companies would see the potential within such a product and approach me to have it developed further.
So your goal is to get it out there and get it distributed and keep the costs low.
Yes, absolutely. Keeping the cost low is the key here.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Abby. That was great. Okay, that's it. There were the 6. And so the next step is I'm going to move out to start the judging deliberation. And it's my pleasure to bring back Dean Roberts and also to introduce Elisa Lurkis. Elisa is the Director of Development for Alumni Relations and has worked for many, many, many years to get donors, herding the donors to make awards for the tech event possible through their generosity and the dedication to engineering and entrepreneurship at the Shiley-Marcos School of Engineering. So on that note, I'm going to turn it back to Chell.
Why, thank you, Jeff. And Elisa, that was sure a lot of minis.
Many, many years. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
It's been a long time.
So here we are again.
Yeah, we are.
We thought it would be important to tell you how the Etrack program came about and to tell you about the generous donors who have made tonight's awards possible. Do you remember how this engineering and entrepreneurship program started?
Oh, I knew it. I knew you were going to come along and test my memory. And it's not like the COVID cobwebs have not been released, at least a little bit. But let me try. I'm seeing the sun. I'm feeling warmth.
Here we go.
Here we go? That was many years ago, wasn't it? All right, so inside of a restaurant comes David Cohn. I think this was in Arizona, wasn't it?
That's right, David Cohn. We met him back in 2016, and he said, hey, why don't you start an engineering and entrepreneurship program? We thought it was a pretty good idea.
I think it was a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It worked out, didn't it?
And then he introduced us to another generous philanthropist, Dominic DeSanctis, who created the first named professorship in the Shiley-Marcos School of Engineering.
I remember that one, that's for sure.
And do you remember who else he introduced us to?
Just a minute, it's coming to me. Cobweb off. Was it Carl Delia?
It was Carl Delia.
Oh, yeah.
And between David and Carl, they created the Starpoint Award.
The Starpoint Award?
Yep.
What is the Starpoint Award? Remind me.
Allow me to tell you.
Okay, I'm waiting. All ears.
The Starpoint Award is going to reward teams that incorporate a social impact into their startup idea. So tonight, we're going to be learning who's going to receive Starpoint funding.
Oh, I'm pretty excited about that. Is that all we have today?
I'm glad you asked. We actually have another award tonight. Do you know what it is?
Not the Starpoint.
It's
I'll
not
bet
the
it. I'll bet it's the Larry Kull Award.
You got it.
I talked about that at the very beginning. Well, at least I said the words. Can you tell me about that?
I certainly can. So back in 2019, I received a phone call from a man named Randy Vosti.
Wow.
He wanted to talk about Larry Kull, who spent many years as SAIC's COO and president, and unfortunately passed away in 2018. Randy told me that he and many of his former SAIC colleagues wanted to name something after Larry that recognized his passion for technology and the entrepreneurial spirit.
That's really cool. So then what happened?
Well, donations started coming in every single day from a big list of Larry's friends and colleagues. And that's how we created the Larry Kull Endowed Student Award in Engineering and Entrepreneurship. This fund rewards projects that are most likely to succeed as a business.
You know, that's really cool. And actually, I kind of remember this because your office is just down the hall. And almost every day I'd hear this little scream that go, yay, whoopee, yay, another one. You know, I'll bet we could use more of those donations today to help us go, could we not?
Well, thank you for the lead-in. Although we raised over $500,000 for this
good.
Endowed Award, which means that this award will last in perpetuity, we are always looking for support for the Engineering and Entrepreneurship program. So if anybody's interested in supporting us, you can go to sandiego.edu/engineering, and you can find a giving button and offer your support if you're interested.
And being a young school, we've only been in existence for about 9 years now. And being so young, small donations make a really, really big difference. So help us, help our students, help us continue this great entrepreneurship program.
But anyway, back to Larry Kull and the award.
Yes.
Actually, we have a video that will tell you better than we can what an incredible man Larry was.
We were doing a pretty good job.
Let's
all
show
right,
it.
all right. Let's go to the video.
Hi, I'm Shel Roberts, Dean of the Shiley-Marcos School of Engineering, and I'm excited to tell you that over the past year, we have raised about $400,000 to endow the Larry Kull Award for a student in engineering and entrepreneurship. It is our great pleasure to share with you the inspiring story of Larry Kull and how the donation from his friends and colleagues will enable students and a student team to create an enterprise into the future that makes impact in the name of Larry Kull.
Dr. Lorenz Kull, or Larry Kull as he was known to everyone, led San Diego-based Science Applications International Corporation as its president and its chief operating officer from the 1980s into the 1990s. A practical engineering sense derived from his early enlisted service in the US Navy always informed his technical brilliance as a physicist. Moreover, he was an astute businessman. Never tried to put something over on a guy from South Chicago. His dealings with co-workers and competitors alike were marked by integrity and honesty. Larry was passionate about helping others. Humble, generous, and with unswerving loyalty, he was the very heart of SAIC.
Larry was such an extraordinary man and positively affected so many of those around him. After his passing, friends and former colleagues Hugh Kendrick, Stephen Dallage, and I wanted to find a way to honor him in a far-reaching way he so rightly deserved. USD's Etrack program grabbed our attention. USD had the right combination. It is a smaller university where an award like this wouldn't get lost in the shuffle. And USD represents the kind of values that Larry would have embraced.
We are so grateful for the generosity of Larry Kull's family and friends for helping make our students' dreams possible.
Hi guys, I'm Venkat and I'm delighted to be here at the second annual Torero Entrepreneurship Challenge, or the tech event. Thanks to all the faculty and staff, judges and mentors, donors, and most of all our students who have embraced the nexus of technology and entrepreneurship and shared their creative ideas with all of us. So to reiterate, we deliberated with our judges and had to come to some decisions on how to make the Starpoint and the Larry Kull Awards. The Starpoint Award is given to teams whose business plans incorporate a positive social or environmental impact. The Larry Kull Award is given to teams whose projects seem most likely to succeed as a business. First of all, congratulations to all of the 9 teams who submitted the pitch decks and videos. I'm going to start first with the participation awards for our semifinalists, and these are the teams that did not make it to present today and answer questions and answers. We nonetheless want to offer them a little bit of funding to support their teams. The 3 teams who will receive participation awards are, and please clap with me, Algae O2, Small Finds, and Know Your Schedule or Know My Schedule. Each of these 3 teams will receive $500 to help them move their projects forward. We hope that this helps them just a little bit, and we're always open to giving you guys feedback, so just come to us and talk to us anytime. Now, the Tech Awards. It's my pleasure to announce the winners of today's competition. We'll start with the Bronze Awards, move through the Silver, and then move to the Gold, okay? And in each one, we have 2 awards. One is a Starpoint Award, and one is a Larry Kull Award. So you got to be patient with me. The Bronze Award, Starpoint Bronze Award, carries $2,000 with it and goes to Totem. Fantastic, guys. You should be proud of it. And this big check that you have, you can cash it for $2,000. Okay? Next, the Larry Kull Bronze Award of, again, $2,000 goes to the Dual Altimeter team. Fly with this, jump out with this, and use this check. Okay? The next award, I'm being told to stand this way. The next award is the Silver Starpoint Award, and it's for $5,000 and goes to Insight VLA. Starpoint Award to Insight VLA. This should give you a way to do a little bit more for the students in class. Clapping for them, I can see that, that's very good. Next is the Larry Kull Silver Award of $5,000 goes to Pirate Hole. You know what this means? This means my kids cannot steal NFL anymore on their laptops. Very good job, guys. Now on to the 2 winning teams. We're going to do this a little bit differently, okay? When I announce the award, I'm going to turn around, look at the team in the screen, and they're going to have a chance to speak a little bit and talk about their experience and thank the audience and thank the judges, okay? So, the Starpoint Gold Award for 10,000 greenbacks goes to EcoBreeze. Fantastic. No. Wrong team. EcoBreeze. Megan, if you want to say a few words. I can't hear her.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
okay.
It says my sound's on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear
Okay. I would just like to thank our wonderful mentors at USD. You are actually one of them, so thank you, Venkat. I would like to thank the School of Engineering as well for having the opportunity to even have this entrepreneurship program. We're so fortunate to go to a school like thank the donors as well, because none of this would be possible without them. So just truly very grateful for my experience at USD and the fact that we even had this amazing Etrack opportunity. And thank you to the other teams for giving us such a great competition as well.
So now there's a lot of suspense on who actually got the Larry Kull Gold Award. And I know you guys are all waiting to hear the name of the team. And I'm going to say it. It goes to Symphony BioWare. Fantastic job, guys. If you want to say something, speak up. Great.
Hi, can you hear me? Just want to make sure that. Thank you. We're so incredibly happy here, and thank you so much to everyone who made this possible. I want to thank the whole engineering school and the business school. I myself am a USD alum, and I want to also send my thanks to everyone in computer science department who prepared me with technical skills for this. And thank you everyone for the feedback, for the path you put us on, for all of this process that helped us refine and make this product ready for a deep dive, and for connecting us with all those wonderful resources. We're very grateful for USD to let us turn our dreams into process getting to the reality. So thank you so much.
Okay, we are back. So big thanks to all of our faculty. Big thanks to the staff, the judges, the mentors, the donors, and the students for their incredible ideas. We look forward to seeing them on the face of Inc. magazine soon. I'm very excited to see where they're going to take their work. It's been my pleasure to work with all of you. Thank you all for joining us, and I want to leave with one note. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. See you.